Why do you feel right now every bit of Mohammed Deepak, known as Deepak Kumar, is being celebrated or should be celebrated?
Because people who have like last 12 years or before that 15 years who have seen a different India, for them Deepak is an exception, which is unfortunate. For us, he's not an exception. He's actually a true Indian. That's how we should be, and we had been all these years.
You tell me, where is the problem with a Muslim naming his shop Baba? How did Baba become Hindu, number one? Then a man who goes, which is why I call this unfortunate and extraordinary, that something as basic as this, we are living in times where even if you defend this, you will have to face the full wrath of an ecosystem.
I believe that in every town, every village, everywhere, there are hundreds of such Deepak Kumars, because since my childhood, I faced it. I studied in a school where I was called a Pakistani. In 60s and 70s, it was a convent school. And I was beaten up by my teachers every day for being a Muslim. In the 65 war, my teacher used to come in the class, Musalla kar do, katalla khada ho jabe, and I used to be beaten up. All the boys were called mullahs and girls were called mullis.
History is something where you have to learn from history, you have to unlearn from history. You can't carry everything from history into your present, because there are lots of things we have to leave behind because that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome. You're watching me, Sanket Upadhyay, on The Federal. The show is called AI with Sanket. AI not as you know it. This is the AI of news. Because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. On the show today, we are going to talk about a man called Deepak Kumar, but a person who has become more popular not by his original name, Deepak Kumar Kashyap, but by a name everybody has given him because that is the name he used to save a person from an angry mob. Mohammed Deepak.
आपका नाम क्या भैया? अपना नाम? मेरा नाम मोहम्मद दीपक है भाई. मोहम्मद दीपक है आपका नाम? ठीक. आपका नाम क्या भैया? अपना नाम? मेरा नाम मोहम्मद दीपक है भाई. मोहम्मद दीपक है आपका नाम? ठीक.
This is a story from Kotdwar on the 26th of January, where a violent mob allegedly belonging to the Bajrang Dal, they stormed into a market complex and objected to a 70-year-old Muslim man with Parkinson's disease, Mr. Wakil Ahmed, naming his shop as Baba Uniform Shop. They said Baba is a word used by Hindus. You are a Muslim, don't use this word. He kept arguing that this is the name of my shop for the past 2 decades. And there is no problem in it. The 70-year-old man had Parkinson's disease. And at that point where a visibly aggressive mob wanted him to change this name, along came a man called Deepak Kumar who runs a gym called Hulk Gym in Kotdwar. He could be seen arguing with this mob and pushing them back. And when the mob asked him, what is his name? Why is he doing what he is doing? He gave himself the name. My name is Mohammed Deepak. Since that day, Deepak Kumar is being both hailed and hated in the society. Hailed by a section who feel that we need more Mohammed Deepaks, people who will lead this message of peace and harmony on the streets.
मेरे को राहुल जी ने बुलाया था और मेरी फैमिली से उन्होंने बात करी है. जो भी कुछ ये मैटर हुआ है उन्होंने मेरे को समझाया है. मेरी फैमिली से, मेरी वाइफ से उन्होंने बात करी है. मेरे को तसल्ली दी है कि दीपक जी, कोई दिक्कत वाली बात नहीं है, कोई आपने गलत काम नहीं किया है, आपने अच्छा काम किया है. और मैं आपको आपके कोटद्वार आकर आपके जिम की मेंबरशिप लूंगा और आपसे मिलूंगा. उन्होंने मेरे को तसल्ली दी है, दिलासा दिया है कि जो भी कुछ ये मैटर हुआ है, इस मैटर से घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है, कोई आपने गलत काम नहीं किया है और जो भी आपने काम किया है बहुत अच्छा काम किया है.
That there should be Mohammed Deepak on every street, every nook and cranny of this country. And hated because his gym membership plummeted from 150 members to 15. He has FIRs against him, he's getting death threats. In a situation like this, what do you think about the phenomenon called Mohammed Deepak? Do you feel that it should not just be celebrated as an exception of goodness, and it should be seen, rightfully so, as the norm of the society. We discuss. All right, joining us right now are two really eminent personalities to speak about a phenomenon which should now become the norm. Unfortunately, right now in this country, it is being celebrated as an exception. The reason why I call it unfortunately is because this has to become the norm. Right now, it's an exception. Mohammed Deepak is an exception. Shahid Siddiqui as well as S. Irfan Habib. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. Irfan Saab, I want to begin with you first.
Yeah.
We saw what he did. It was a very normal thing to do. On other occasions, this would have been the response at any given point in the society, an expected response from the society. Why do you feel right now every bit of Mohammed Deepak, known as Deepak Kumar, is being celebrated or should be celebrated?
No, we are celebrating Deepak's action, as you rightly said. You know, we represent syncretism. Our culture has been syncretic. We have been together. Freedom struggle has given that as legacy to us. We got composite nationalism. We were never divided. Our nationalism, our identity was not exclusive. We were all inclusive people, despite all the struggle we went through. But the end result was that we all lived together, decided to be syncretic. So anything like this, which has happened, what Deepak has done, has come as a great surprise to many of us, because people who have like last 12 years or before that 15 years, who have seen a different India, for them Deepak is an exception, which is unfortunate. For us, he's not an exception. He's actually a true Indian. That's how we should be, and we had been all these years. We grew up in that India where people stood up for each other and didn't stand up for their respective religion. Anybody who was in distress was helped by people. So what Deepak did was actually a truly Indian act. He represented syncretism of India, love, empathy, togetherness. That's what Deepak represented, and I'm so happy that he continues to stick to what he did. He didn't waver. He didn't. It was not something spontaneous. It happened, and then obviously, you be on the guard and then speak very guardedly. He is speaking with the same fervor, and that is an example of a true Indian. And I hope that lots of other Deepaks actually come up, and among Muslims as well. There are lots of Muslims who have done this, but these are all sporadic activities happening here and there, because we saw another example in Badaयूं, where people kept watching, and it was so pathetic. And one man kept beating those poor elderly people, slapping and pushing and all the abusing. And there were men, women around, who were just watching all this as a spectacle. So this is unfortunate. And I hope Deepak becomes an example. He has become an example for many of us, because many other such examples have come to light. And that is the reason why Deepak should be celebrated, and Deepak should be many more Deepak should be. Deepak, I see Deepak as truly as light, literally.
Very interesting.
He has lighted.
Nice play on his name.
Yes, he has lighted spirit of empathy, of happiness, of living together happily, and all that. This is what India represents. Because we are not one religion India, one culture India. We are a country which has been proud of our diversity. Our heterogeneity has been our strength. Unfortunately, it is being seen as our weakness by some, and homogeneity is being projected as our virtue, which is not true.
Shahid Siddiqui, I want to come to you now. First of all, of course, your opening comments on what you feel about him. You see, this incident is also a couple of weeks old, where something as basic as the name of a shop. You tell me, where is the problem with a Muslim naming his shop Baba? How did Baba become Hindu, number one? Then a man who goes, which is why I call this unfortunate and extraordinary, that something as basic as this, we are living in times where even if you defend this, you will have to face the full wrath of an ecosystem. Your gym memberships will plummet. You will be celebrated at the same time there will be death threats. You will be hailed at the same time there will be FIRs. So, your opening comments, Shahid ji.
Look, I don't see what Deepak has done is Deepak uh, is not very unique or different. I have seen this. I have been to communal riots for last 50 years, from Bhagalpur to Hashimpura, Malyana to Bhiwandi, Jalgaon, Mumbai, everywhere. And for every one person killed, I have seen 10 people coming out to save others, both Muslims and Hindus. So that is real India. So Deepak represents this real India, and today we are celebrating it because there is another narrative which wants to demolish, we want to destroy this real India which has existed for 1,000 years, and therefore we have to celebrate Deepak Kumar for this very reason. But that doesn't mean that there are no other Deepak Kumars. I'm optimist. I believe that in every town, every village, everywhere, there are hundreds of such Deepak Kumars. Because of the social media, we have been able to highlight Deepak Kumar, and that's wonderful, and that deliberately we are doing it because we have to highlight the positive side also, and that gives courage to a lot of Indian youth. And let me tell you, a lot of young girls and boys are coming out today. It may not be happening in every village, we may not be seeing it in social media every day, but that is happening, and that's what real India is all about. Let me tell you, in 1947, I was just reading about Gama Palwan, who was Rustam-e-Zama, the champion of the world, and he stood up in Lahore, and when people came to attack the Sikhs and the Hindus, he stood out, fought them, and pushed them back, and delivered all those, every single family of theirs, to the borders and to protect them. So there are people like Gama, there are people like Deepak, and they have always been there in India, and they will always be there in India, and that's the beauty of India. And I believe that what is happening is temporary, it is political, it is not the heart of India, it's not coming from the common people, it is coming from a certain class which wants to exploit this polarization, which wants to exploit hate. Like, you see, there have always been such exploiters of hate in the world, and there have always been people of love who have stood up. But the problem with the people who stand up for love is that they are not united. They are ordinary people. They are busy with their day-to-day life, but they are in a majority. Let me say, the hate mongers are a minority. They will always remain a minority, but they have the power to push the good people back. But good people have to stand up, and Deepak has shown us the way. Jyoti usne jalai hai, that Deepak is showing the way to stand up against these bullies, and these bullies are cowards. They will go back. They will not be able to fight back if the real Indians, young Muslims and Hindus and Sikhs and Christians, they stand up against this. They are the future of India.
Mr. S. Irfan Habib, it's a very interesting point that Shahid Siddiqui has made. So have you in your opening comments, that this is reality. We have seen this exist. It still exists. You submit. But my point is, and here I saw a lot of murmurs regarding Deepak yesterday when he met Rahul Gandhi. Because the moment you are seen aligning, see, he stood up for an extremely noble cause, and I don't think him meeting a politician in no way diminishes or reduces his act of kindness and, I would say, even ferocity that we saw in Kotdwar. Having said that, do you feel that in the very charged political environment that we live, a photo opportunity like this runs the risk of diminishing the message that a Deepak, who now is popularly known as Mohammed Deepak, his message diminishes?
No, I don't think so. Because in a democracy like India, and a vibrant democracy as I see it, political parties and political leaders who are public figures, they have their place. They have access to a larger number of people than people like us, or some other people who do these sort of activities. Our reach is very limited. These people, the political leaders like Rahul Gandhi, if you meet him for a cause, I don't think there is a problem. First of all, he was the first one to access him, to get in touch with him. And Deepak himself said that if somebody else invites me, who shares my vision, who shares my concern, I will go and meet him. Even Narendra Modi, he named him. So nobody else called him. Now, when he came here, he met Rahul Gandhi, he met Sanjay Singh, all those people he met who feel concerned about these issues. Sanjay Singh from AAP is very vocal on this issue of communalism and poison which is being spread. He speaks very often. So he met quite a few other people as well who share the concerns which Deepak stood for. So I think if other people invite him, he should meet them as well. And the agenda is inside.
That's a very important point. Shahid Siddiqui, do you agree that meeting a politician in no way diminishes the stuff that, or the work that Deepak Kumar has done, and the manner in which he protected a 70-year-old Wakil Ahmed, has Parkinson's disease, was shivering when this mob suddenly moved towards the shop, and he positioned himself as, I'm Mohammed Deepak. See, his name has become so popular all over the country only because of the sort of message that he thought of impromptu. So when he is seen aligning, or at least seen shaking hands with a photo opportunity with a politician, you think this is a good message or a bad message for the cause that he is espousing?
You see, it's a good message for Rahul Gandhi. The message is that Rahul Gandhi stands up for a Deepak Kumar. He is not afraid to do that. But it's not a very good message for Deepak Kumar, because Deepak Kumar's message has cut across political boundaries. It has gone to people who are not political, mainly non-political people, because in today's very polarized politics and polarized world, when you stand up with a politician, the message goes that you are, aligning with their ideology or their political narrative. That's where the narrative which has been built by Deepak gets diluted. So I'm not too happy with this his moving around meeting all these politicians. I would have preferred if he had met a Sri or he had met some Shankaracharya or somebody who has a secular message to give, or a Sikh guru, or other intellectuals. If he had met Irfan Habib, or if he had met some of these people, I'll be very happy, because that gives a very positive message to society, because the message should go to society, not to politics. Now the message is going to politics and to political parties and not to society. The problem is in the society, although it's a political problem, but if the society stands up against this kind of politics will not prevail. It will fail ultimately. And therefore, I feel that I'm not against anybody meeting anyone. It's always welcome, but sometimes the message gets diluted when this kind of thing happens. And here I feel, as a observer of Indian politics than as a political person, or as a journalist, or as a Muslim, that I would have preferred that if he had not done that.
So we have divergent views here, which is acceptable to me. You have Shahid Siddiqui, who feels that this meeting should not have happened in isolation. It's great news for Rahul Gandhi. It may not be great news for the message which a Mohammed Deepak or a Deepak Kumar is espousing. However, Irfan Habib Saab feels that he can meet anyone he wants, as long as the message is not getting diluted. Tomorrow, if Narendra Modi were to invite him, ideally he should go, says Irfan Habib.
Yes.
But
he has conveyed that message. He has conveyed that message in his interactions with the press yesterday. And not only Narendra Modi, he said even other political parties, if they want to take initiative, he can always stand with them if they share his vision. If they talk of insaniyat, that's what he's talking about now, insaniyat yatra or whatever. So if he believes in humanity, anybody believes in humanity or love, empathy for each other, can access him. I don't think Deepak's message has been diminished at all, because he has already conveyed. And the ripple effect we can see in other parts of India, like you saw in Rajasthan, in a village in Tonk yesterday, 2 days back, and this some former MLA or MP of BJP was distributing blankets, and he refused to give those blankets to Muslim women and the poor Muslim women, and some of them were actually taken away, those blankets from these people, from these poor women, and they were just thrown out of the gathering. Soon after that, all the villagers across communities, caste, religion, they gathered and they decided to return the sweets and the blankets which the man distributed. So they said this is inhuman. So this is the sort of ripple effect which Deepak has already made. And there are examples from other parts of the country as well. Other parts of the country, North India, other parts of the country are not affected, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, this problem exists more in the northern part of the country than, say, the south. But you see, the message of communal harmony is something that can be spread across the country. Why only restricted to the north? Shahid Siddiqui, let's now talk about the message and not the messenger, because we've discussed Deepak Kumar enough. The message, do you feel, and as you rightly said earlier also, that there were many people who were carrying this message in the past also? It's just that we were not recognizing them or not seeing them and not according them the respect that they deserve. Do you feel that there is this conscious need in the society now to talk about these messengers of peace, messengers who are carrying this message?
Absolutely, to give faith and confidence to the common man that look, there's no negativity is only one narrative. There is a different narrative which is positive. As I was saying, that when I visited riot affected areas in Bhagalpur or Aligarh or Jamshedpur, so many, I have done it for last 40 years. I have visited all these areas. Everywhere I found that there were some who went out on a spree to kill and burn, and thousands were killed. Let me tell you, in Bhagalpur, at least 2,000 people were killed in Bhagalpur in 89, and there were no 1 or 2 incidents. Whole areas were burned down and people were killed. But at the same time, there were thousands and thousands and thousands who stood up with the oppressed people, with the Muslims in Hindu mohallas. Muslims stood up for Hindus in other mohallas, and that is happening even today. I was just reading that in a village, I think somewhere in Agra or somewhere, where they had removed a school master that he was asking students to go for namaz, which he didn't. So the whole village stood up with him. The students stood up with him, and they said it's all wrong. So that is happening everywhere. The problem in the past was that we highlighted only as we say in news, when a dog bites a man, then it's not news. When a man bites a dog, it's news. So news was always negative news, but the positive news was never highlighted. In my paper for last 50 years, always devoted one page to the positive news, because when I went to riot affected areas, there were 3 stories about the riots. There was one story about the savings done by different people. So I always felt that there are always very, very positive side to the very darkest of the phases, darkest of the periods. And even today, there is a very positive side. And let me tell you, Deepak Kumar is not the first. He is not the only one, and he has been highlighted good. But we shouldn't really, dilute the message. The message should be built up, and it should be a non-political. We need today a non-political movement where politicians can also join, but it should be led by somebody like we need a JP type movement. We need a movement by a non-political person acceptable to others, who stands up against communalism, who stands up against hatred. Because Rahul Gandhi has been trying his best, and I have all praise for him, but it doesn't lead you anywhere. And if Rahul Gandhi wants to stand up, he should tell all his Congress workers that they should all become Deepak Kumars. He said, I want every youth Congress worker to be a Deepak Kumar, to stand up. Why don't the young people of Samajwadi Party stand up in Lucknow or elsewhere when this happens? They have followers, they have party organizations everywhere. Why don't we see them? Because they become active only when it suits them politically. All the sides. I have been in politics all my life, and let me say that politics has exploited these divisions very, very badly, whether caste divisions or communal or linguistic or
I think that's a fantastic point that you have made, Shahid Saab.
To this country.
Shahid Saab, this point that you have made, let's just talk about that a little. Do you feel that the message of peace and harmony, Irfan Saab, is also politically divided? Right now we have a situation where allegedly a Hindu mob tried to attack an old Muslim, and a Hindu came in, positioned himself as a savior. So it is being seen as a good message of harmony for a few. Cut to the other side of the political divide, had this thing been reversed, where there was allegedly a Muslim mob attacking a Hindu, then the allegation is that a section would keep quiet and the other will take the message of harmony, that look, he protected. So do you feel that this message of harmony has to move beyond the point that Shahid Saab is making, has to move beyond these political arguments?
See, I don't think in today's context of India, the India we live in today, the problem is that it is a particular community of Muslims or Christians in Odisha, for example, who are under siege, and unfortunately, Hindus in this country feel as if they have achieved something, they are somewhere there, and all others in India can just live at their this thing. There is a feeling among a small section, not all, because 80%, this 80-20 thing, I see it differently. 80% Indians, more than 80% Indians are peace loving across religions. It is only a small section of people who are feeling empowered, who had been like that for decades, and they were actually on the margins, on the fringes. Today they are center stage. See, I have watched politics closely, and I have not been part of politics, but I've been, like, my family and my lots of people close to my this thing. I've watched them very closely. You see, the day government changes, the whole attitude of police, the Thana, everything changes. It is actually the empowerment of these people on the basis of this assurance that nothing will happen to them. Once this assurance disappears, actually 80% of these people will vanish. So point is that the state has to be more proactive. And what Shahid Saab just said, some non-political people should come in. He named even Siri. No, these people they are people who are lost to this society. They have done nothing. They have been divisive so many times. So what do you expect from them? They are all money-making projects. Nothing else. I'm not against them, but they have their own agenda. And let them make their money in peace. They will not do anything. They have never done it. So the point is, in a democracy where political...
Do you feel, Irfan Saab, this is a very important point. Do you feel then instead of some big titular head, someone who can position himself as the harbinger of peace or the coordinator of the civil society, instead of that, you just let ordinary members of a village, a city, a town, a colony, let them take over the mantle? So if there will be a vigilante justice group, there should automatically be the people who believe in the right, coexisting from within the society.
People have to come forward, and that's what people are doing, because you cannot expect, like, JPs don't happen every day. What JP also unleashed during his time, today, retrospectively, if you see, it has done more harm to us. Uh, what we are seeing today is actually a result of those times. When a section of our political class was almost co-opted into mainstream politics, all their political sins were forgotten. All the socialists, all the even leftists, they all forgot what these people had been doing all these years. I'm not naming them, but you all know what I'm talking about. And today, you can see where they are and where they were when JP started that so-called integration against Indira Gandhi, the emergency and all that, which was, we all fought for that. We were young in colleges. But the point is, the result of that politics didn't really come out very, very healthy. If you see today's India, that was the beginning. And since then, they didn't look back. The point is, one has to see what sort of politics you are supporting. Whom are you pushing forward? So that probably JP also didn't see in those times. And I did a book on nationalism, and I used JP's writings of 1950s and 60s. JP was very different. His views on RSS, his views on bigotry, I've used them. He was so articulate and so very well said. So I was forced to use them because they were so good. And I wrote also that JP was not JP of anti-Congress or anti or the emergency opposer or fighter against emergency. JP of 1950s, 1960s. That is the true JP, where he wrote extensively, left behind a huge corpus of writings, which represent his whole idea of India, what sort of India he perceived. It was only later when he changed his mind, and even then he said that RSS has to give up its exclusive politics and all that. He made those comments as well, but he has unleashed something else.
I get the point that you're making, that you are statesman-like, and then you become a politician.
Yeah.
So then different rules apply, which brings us to what Shahid Saab was saying, that instead of being seen, all the harbingers of peace and the messengers, instead of seen on political stages, Shahid Saab, Irfan Saab, while you were away, he made a point that to find people of impeccable record from the civil society, non-politicians, is also now growing to be very, very difficult, because there will be political affiliations there as well. So then the onus is only and only on society. If there is some problem happening in Tonk, people of Tonk will, though I'm not for instant justice, because that is the perfect way you break the society. There have to be laws, methods in place.
Yes, Sankalp, I agree with what Irfan Saab is saying. And when I mention JP, I don't mean we need a JP. It was just a name I had thrown up. We need a movement. We need a movement against hatred. That's what I said. And whatever I have studied of history of politics, there are times when history throws up people, when you don't know from where they come, when you say that there is no alternative, but the alternative emerges, and society throws them up. And these small incidents like that of Deepak Kumar and other small incidents happening everywhere slowly crystallize, and they throw up a movement, and they throw up of people. So this has happened in the past, and this will happen again. JP was not, movement was not created by JP. JP was only used as a symbol. JP did not lead the movement. Movement was created for other forces which had emerged gradually post 69 party division of Congress. Let's not go into that history, because for that you require a different kind of debate, and why the left and the right joined hands during emergency. How Mrs. Gandhi imposed emergency, how we went to jail. Even people like us stood by JP, although we were opposed to RSS, we were opposed to the Sangh. So those were different times. And there are situations in history when you have to give up all your differences and to fight in a different way. But I think that ultimately in Indian ethos, there is so much in India which I have feeling that it will throw up somebody, whether you call him a Deepak Kumar or you call him Anita Garg or anybody, some unknown person will come up. You see, Mahatma Gandhi was not did not emerge from skies. He became a Mahatma, he became a Gandhi because the situation was ripe. So situation has to be ripe on the ground, and that's where we have to work. What I feel is that political parties are not working on the ground. Even so-called secular parties, so-called parties which are opposed to RSS and BJP, are not working for the ideology of secularism. They are also using secularism as a political, instrument of getting votes. For them, secularism is not basically ideology. For some, it's not a generalized statement. Of course, there are some who are extremely secular, but in politics, they are using secularism as a instrument to gain certain kind of support from minorities, from this, that, etc. But the same thing is happening on the other side, and that's where the thinking India has to emerge. The Indian middle class has ultimately to assert itself. I don't know who will be their leader, but that middle class will have to come. People like Irfan Habib will have to form a group of intellectuals, of thinkers, of writers, of poets, of painters, of journalists. I think you need a group of journalists who should form a society to stand up against polarization, against communalism. There should be a group of painters who should form a group to fight against hatred. There should be a women's organization which should come together to fight hatred and to enlighten women. So on every scale, you need different these groups, and when these groups will emerge, it may take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but it will happen, and that's from where the change will come. This what the hatred you see today has always been there. Today it's open, it's coming out of the hiding it was in, and I welcome that, because you can fight it now. Now you know what kind of hatred there is, because since my childhood I faced it. I studied in a school where I was called a Pakistani in 60s and 70s. It was a convent school, and I was beaten up by my teachers every day for being a Muslim. In the 65 war, my teacher used to come in the class, Musalla kar do, katalla khada ho jabe, and I used to be beaten up. All the boys were called mullahs and girls were called mullis, and this was in 60s and 70s. And I have seen so many riots where police has done nothing. Not a single person has been arrested in the Congress governments in Mumbai. 1993 riots in Mumbai. Not a single person was punished. Not a single person was arrested. You had Congress government in Delhi. You had Congress government in Maharashtra. Nayak was there, and I was running from pillar to post, from Narasimha Rao to Nayak to Pawar, to everybody, to save people, but nobody was listening, and everything opposite was being done. And this I have been seen with so-called lot of secular leaders. So let's not be under any illusions. This is an illusion that only some leaders can save us and others will destroy us. No, ultimately it is a society and
Very well said.
emergence of that thinking which is going to save us. It's
So
not
thinking and emergence from within the society is what can perhaps drill some sense, because politicians will do what they know how to do best: politicize and use situations in their favor. S. Irfan Habib, you see, Habib Saab was leading such a group to talk about peace and harmony, and then water was thrown at him. What do you do?
Matter. Let it be. It will be done again and again.
Yeah, no,
That's a very small thing.
Irfan Saab, last comment.
What I want to say is, when Shahid Saab was just saying about secularism, I don't want to, because there's no other word to replace secularism. No, I don't believe that, because secularism, we use it conveniently because we don't find any other word. My idea of India is where people live happily together across religions, across castes, class, and there is no hatred for each other. They don't tolerate each other. They respect each other. Because tolerance is a very negative word for me. I don't think to tolerate something is something very positive. You need to respect each other.
Yes.
Respect each other as Hindus, as Muslims, as Dalits, as untouchables, so-called untouchables. So all this need to be fought. This feeling, and this is what we call secularism, because we have no other word. When this word was added into constitution, it came in later on, but the spirit of secularism, of this living happily together, was part of our constitution, part of our constituent assembly debates. So it was the spirit of secularism, spirit of living together happily, was part of our constituent assembly debates and later in the constitution. The word comes in later. That's a different issue altogether. Now, what is happening today, which Shai Saab just pointed out, that riots have taken place earlier as well, and I have lived in Meerut my childhood, and I have seen how our city was for a month, for 2 months. There used to be curfew, there used to be riots, killings, burning of properties, and all sorts of things. But after a week, things used to become normal. What is happening today is not violence in the street. It happens also sometimes. There is a violence in the mind. We are violent when we think about each other. There is a section of people who have instilled this hatred in the name of history, in the name of religion, in the name of caste into our minds. So violence in the minds, that's what translates into action later on. Why is this violence coming into your mind? Because there is a certain crap which is being instilled into your mind from the past, that all these killings and deprivations and all that you have faced in the past. This is the time to take revenge. You can't take revenge of history in the present. If you do that, then you are actually doing injustice to your past. You're doing injustice to your future, because you're not thinking about present. So the point is, I'm more concerned about that you are using past as a tool to propagate an idea of India which you think is convenient for your politics. That's what I'm trying to question all the time. I've been writing, I've been speaking about that sort of history which is being propagated. This is not what history is. History is something where you have to learn from history, you have to unlearn from history. You can't carry everything from history into your present, because there are lots of things we have to leave behind, because that is not relevant. That was meant for 15th century, 16th century. You are living in 2025. So you have to undo all that, unlearn lots of things, or redo that history and use it, make it usable. So you need to salvage something from the past which is salvageable, not everything. So the point is, what we are doing today, we are trying to bring in all sorts of things which happened 15th century, 400 years back, 500 years back. Those things happened then. That was a different India. That was an India or world where sword actually ruled. And sword actually, if a Hindu had a strong sword, he will succeed. If Muslim had it, he will succeed. So it was a battle of swords. Today you have a constitution. You have rights, you have duties, and you have to work within those norms, written norms which you have for governance.
I get what you're trying to say, and I must say it was a very enriching conversation with the two of you on. You see, Mohammed Deepak is incidental to this conversation. Yes. He is something which is happening as a phenomenon on the ground, perhaps to make these conversations a little bit more relevant. Let's hope that the word spreads. Learned a lot. Let's hope our viewers also learn a lot from what you have said, and may some positive change affect on the ground or in the society. Thank you very much, Irfan Saab. Thank you very much, Shahid Saab, for joining us.